Hello, welcome. We're in Girona. That's perfect. That can be the thumbnail. We're in Girona with a certain Rory who's going to tell us a story, aren't you?
Tell a bit of a story.
You'll recognise this face if you followed the sport long enough because, well, how long were you pro?
Too many years. No, 17 odd years.
You don't look that old.
Yeah, well, I am. Yeah, the grey hair's in here and I'm just trying to keep fit now, that's all.
You started life with Rabobank, am I right in saying?
Rabobank back in 2001.
Right, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Because you've been through Rabobank onto, well, you finished with UAE. No,
finished with Israel.
Israel Premier Tech.
Yeah, but I've been, every other team under the sun. UAE, Movistar for a few years. Saxo Tinkoff. I was in the US for 5 years.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I did 5 years with what became United Healthcare.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it's been a good little journey.
Not a bad little journey at all.
But Rabobank. Go back to Rabobank.
Let's go back to Rabobank because you're a man that clearly loves his bikes.
I do. More now than I did before.
And there's one bike that you clearly love that you went out your way to go and get.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your Colnago.
Yeah. So one of the things that you do as a rider, especially when you're younger, is if sometimes you get the opportunity to buy your bike at the end of the season from the team. And most of the time it's like, oh, I don't want that bike, I don't want that, or I don't have the money to pay for it. You know, I'm getting paid a small wage in the early years and like I need that money. And so some of the bikes you don't buy, some of them you're not allowed to buy and everything. And then in the later years I was like, crap, I wish I had that bike because now it's like vintage. It's something I'd really like to. And I was sat there and the last couple of years I kept, I had one of the Movistar Canyons, like race bike. I've got my one of my UAE bikes.
V2R, that's the one that you've been out on today?
That was the first disc brake model they had. And so I had one of those for training. We still weren't allowed to race with disc brakes.
So that was just a training bike?
That was a training bike, yeah.
Ah.
And so we had them, and so I was like, well, what do I really want? You know, some bikes over the years were not so good, so I was like, I don't want
what were
those
them
then? Yeah, well, I'm not going down that road.
Squeezing a bit.
So I started thinking about Colnago again. And I was like, crap, I'd really like to do this. And it's one of those typical things, you sit there and you're bored one day and you're flipping through eBay, or here it's like there's like Wallapop. Every country's got their own. Craigslist in the States got their own like pre-owned thing. And I was like, oh yeah, I could really go for one of those again. I'm like, I'm going to try and find my bike.
So it was the Colnago.
The Colnago Dream
Lux
or Dream
B-Stay.
So it's got aluminium on the front and carbon rear stay. Yeah,
and
money.
The best paint jobs.
Yes.
Back then, you had the Mappe paint job, you had your paint job, and then Tinkoff, when they rode it, they had a nice paint job.
They were there, like the original team, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to find it. Can't find it anywhere. Searched all Holland, Belgium, can sometimes find the right colour, but it's like
wrong size.
Stephen de Jong's bike, I found that.
No way.
I was like, Stephen, I found your bike. He goes, oh yeah, that one. And so I was trying to find, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I'm like, all right, so next best option, I'm just going to try and get a frame. And so I found one in the UK from this guy called Chris, and it was a very good price. Chris did me very well. Sent me the frame, like, right, going to get it painted. Where am I going to start? I had to start getting quotes. It's bloody expensive.
To get a nice Art Deco paint job like that.
An original kind of looking one. Mm-hmm. And so I was on UAE at the time and we went to Tour of Lombardy. And the day before Lombardy, we always stay next to Colnago, next to the factory. And we go in and do the tour and do the photo shoot and everything. And I was showing the picture to one of the guys there from PR and he's like, no, we don't spray bikes or anything. And Ernesto Colnago came across and I said, hey, look. And I showed him the picture of the bike from when I was riding it.
Yeah.
Like, so I had a picture there and I'm like, look, I was racing. He goes, oh yeah, this one, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I've got another frame and I'm trying to make that again, but I need to get it painted. And he looks at a PR guy or whatever and he's like, yeah, we can do that. And he had already told me he couldn't do it. And so that guy was like, oh, I've got more work to do.
Yeah.
And so that was like September or something at the end of, that was probably 2019. Finally got around to send it to them in probably February or something in 2020.
And obviously,
and then the pandemic hit. and I didn't see it, and then it got lost in the system.
Oh.
Because it didn't get tagged because there wasn't like an invoice, there wasn't anything in there. So it was somewhere in Colnago.
Was that a bit worrying?
Slightly. I didn't pay too much and it wasn't my bike. But then finally I tracked it down. It took a year to track it down in Colnago. They finally got the job done and sent it to me. And then it took me another year to probably build it up, finding old parts and learning about the models of Shimano. And I'm not a tech person. But
were you a tech person when you were racing then?
No.
Or you're not bothered?
Never. No, I didn't really
Rode
bother.
what you rode?
Yeah, just put me on something and have some opinions. But trying to find the specific year of like a Shimano group set, and then the cranks are the wrong size, and then I need grey outers.
Yeah, you needed, because I've not seen the bike yet. We're filming this the day before I shoot the bike, because it's in the Castelli shop now.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. Have you got the Shimano levers with the Shimano down the front?
No, they're too expensive.
Well,
they're too expensive.
Not genuine then.
Because I was going through it all and I'm buying things and I'm like, look, what do I want it for? I'm like, well, I'm going to build this and buy it and I'm super excited to have it. But what happens at the end of the day is that what do I do with it?
You've got to ride it, man.
I can. I've got tubular tyres on it.
Right.
I've got like the classics Reflux,
Michelin.
Mavic.
Oh, Mavic
rims, reflexes, and the old Shimano dura-ace hubs in there.
Hold on a minute.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Mavic Reflex.
Yes.
Weren't Rabobank using FIR wheels, at least for the classics? Just not that genuine.
Yeah, because I can't find fur.
No,
fur doesn't exist.
They don't exist anymore.
I had deep section carbon ones.
Yeah.
And I can't find any of them anywhere.
It's been like at least 15 years ago.
That was 20 years ago. 20? But fur went dead.
Yeah.
So now everywhere I look, and because it's like in Italy, I'm sure there's some somewhere.
Yeah.
But if you know where to get some wheels, on parts, contact me.
I'll flash your socials up here so people can harass you.
I don't have any money to pay for it, but yeah, it's complete. And then in the end, we were looking at what to do. And when I helped Castelli build out the Castelli store here in Girona.
Which is lovely.
Yes. And that's, to begin with, we had this big open space and we were like, crap, what do we put up here? And Steve from Castelli, Steve Smith, he had a bike that was there that was Nathan Haas's. He'd bought Nathan Haas's gravel bike.
Which has the Mappe paint job.
It's got some weird
the Art Deco paint job.
Art Deco paint job. So that went up there, and then my one, and then I was like, "Whoa, here, put this up here as well." And so that it's there on display, and then they were like, "Do you want to take it home?" And I'm like, "I don't know what I'm going to do with it at home because my wife won't have it in our living room for obvious reasons." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to sit in the garage."
No.
So I'd rather. It's kind of like for me, it's a piece of art.
Yes.
That is better to be seen by people. So I'm like donated it to the Castelli, not for keeps.
No,
it's on loan.
It's for on the eyes of the Castelli shop.
Yes, and so people go in and can look up and they can see it, and yeah, it's cool.
What made you appreciate that bike out of all the ones that you've rode? Why did that stand out? Because you've rode. Movistar on Canyon. You would have been on
Canyon. We've been on Specialized. I've been on Factor at the end. We were on Rabobank. We were on Cannondale before. Cannondale towards the end of United Healthcare. We were on some obscure brands there as well. Neil Pride and Quota we rode as well.
Right.
Yeah. But why Colnago? Well, I think it's the history. It's not because it was the best bike.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. At the time it was I think at that time an era it was a very good bike for the peloton. It's not because it's like the nicest ride I've had. If I was going for a really nice ride, I might get a nice steel bike or something, a bit more handmade. But it's just I think what goes hand in hand with that, the Colnago brand, is that it's the history of the brand as well.
The mystique.
It's part of it. And I think they were such in the forefront of the paint jobs.
Yes.
They were so like vibrant and crazy and out there, and the technology then. And it was always, super fun to see the bikes, and it still is.
Yeah. They're iconic. And I know there's a lot of riders out there who, came through Rabobank, came through Mappe, who really appreciate, especially the C40s, C40 Beastie. Now, in fact, Andrea Taffy, he rode when he was with CSC, not Cervelo, in the Roubaix. Roubaix, he rode a C40.
Did he really?
Repainted, yeah.
Oh, because when he won Roubaix, because if you go to Colnago and go to into the showroom there, the historical area, it's in there. And Museo's bike, and that's cool, but it's not open to the public. But it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. All the bikes are in there, posters, the history of Colnago. And I think that's part of, a big bike brand, is to see that history and see those old, what it was, and see how technology has changed and appreciate it. But what is really kind of funny is once we finally built the bike, I was like, what am I going to do with it? And I didn't really know. It's got tubular tires on it, all this. And I was like, I'm just going to ride it down the road.
Right.
And I wrote down, I was like, it actually feels really cool. Like, it feels good.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like an old clunker that you had from years before. So it's got a nice piece in my heart. When I get older and pass away, it'll probably be somewhere and my kids will be like, this is crap.
Corner,
this is crap. Let's just put it on, stuck in the attic or whatever those programs are called.
So over the years you rode, obviously, from that bike till the end, how did bikes change? Ride quality rather than. But we know there's more aero, disc brakes, lighter, but ride quality. That tactile ride quality of it, like the feel that you get yourself, rather than all the data points.
Yeah, I think I noticed the bigger change was in tyres as well.
Really?
Is the grippiness of how you. The technology advanced in road cycling was pretty big. And, you touched on the aerodynamics thing, which is, we all think, it's important, but you're in a peloton. But, I had this chat today with somebody in the group, and I remember riding a Grand Tour or riding many races, and I won't say what bike I was on, but it was a standard frame, not an extreme aero thing. And somebody on a Specialized was next to me. They tuck and they just disappear on a descent.
Wow.
And I can't go that fast because it wasn't aero enough. And that's, for me, I was like, well, now we're changing.
Yeah.
There's a big change in cycling where you had to become more aerodynamic to keep up.
Yeah.
And I think some of the companies, obviously Specialized, were the forefront of actually doing that. And everyone else has had to keep up and
100%.
chase it.
Excellent. So what's your next bike you're going to buy?
Oh, I don't know. I don't really want to buy bikes. I got what did I get last year? I bought an Factor Ostro gravel bike.
Very nice.
Built that up myself with what I wanted and not with team stickers on it, which is nice.
So what's that? What have you built that up with?
With Shimano Di2 on the gravel. Yeah. And I think I'm good at the moment on bikes. I don't really need any more. Yeah, it's a lot of money on bikes, and I've
you've got to sell a lot of your coffee. A lot of cakes to pay for it.
After I pay for the children.
Yeah.
No, but an interesting thing is, which is kind of left field with that, is that after I retired, it took me 3.5 years to want to ride a bike.
Really?
Yeah. So I wasn't interested in getting a bike. I was over it. I was done.
Wow.
I didn't have and especially road cycling.
Yeah.
Not because I hated road cycling, but because I'd done it all.
And
I didn't want to go out on the bike, and I didn't want to feel slower than I was before either.
So this is where we see a lot of pros leave the sport. They put a few kilos on.
Yeah. Whereas I'm probably less now, but that's because I'm busy.
Yeah.
And healthy. But 3.5 years, and I think gravel in itself, and having a gravel bike now, especially living in Girona, and everything's new.
Yes.
I have never done it before.
Because it is good gravel riding around, isn't it?
It is amazing.
When we're filming this last week, you had the Val, what was it called?
Oh yeah, the
Santa
Val.
The first of the Earth Gravel series. You've got the tracker, which is in, which is massive as well.
It's really taken off. And it's the new generation. That's for the new generation, not for me.
The kids.
The kids.
Yes. Spot on. All right. I think we've got loads here. How many minutes is that? Bloody hell. 15 minutes talking about Colnago.
Yeah.
Not bad at all. Okay. Please leave a comment below saying what you think of his bike. Let's just say it's lovely, isn't it? It is lovely. It is lovely. That's if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching it over on the website, shoot us a message via the socials. And as always, thank you for watching. Enjoy your riding. And thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Very kind of you to... I'll let you go home and get warm now.
Thank you.
Excellent. Cheers. Bye.